Welcome back to another video. So in the last video I showed you how to make the mold. So we have the mold sitting right here. So first thing we have to do is clean it up. I already start cleaning it up a little bit here with just some soap and water, because all this right here is that PVA stuff. It should be this color, the color of the gel coat. So I'm just going to use some soap and water, try to clean that up. So as you can see, it's a lot cleaner now. It doesn't have like a slimy texture to it. So I did end up cleaning both sides. So these areas right here, right across here, some here, there's a little bit on this side and a little bit on this way. But basically, when I lay the fiberglass down in this, the gray part is actually going to be the part that's going to be facing the outside of the car, like on the roof. And when the fiberglass folds up on this edges all the way around, this is going to be the mounting edge. So we want to make sure that's nice and smooth, and plus if it's smoother it'll be easier to separate, because if it's all chunky on the end it's going to kind of hold on to each other. So I'm going to take some compressed air and blow this off. Hopefully it dries quick so we can start working on those areas. So I went ahead and repaired all the imperfections with the drywall joist compound or mud or whatever you want to call it. And then I primered the whole thing with a can of like 99-cent primer. And then I used can clear, and I cleared the whole thing. I'm trying to replace using that epoxy like you would use on the bar top that I used in the last video. So I'm gonna, hopefully this works. So I figured the clear coat would kind of just seal in all that drywall mud, because I used a lot of clear, especially on the edges where I repaired. So once that dries, I'm gonna just take the paste wax and I'm gonna wax this a lot, and then we'll lay down the PVA. So next step, pickup, we'll probably be ready to do the gel coat. Alright, so I just got done putting on the gel coat. First step after the last clip was I waxed it really well. Super thick coat. 2 coats of PVA and then this gel coat. I put this one really thick, so it's probably going to take a while to dry. It's about 5 o'clock, so I'm probably just going to leave this till tomorrow. But once this dries up, we'll cut the fiberglass and get started on making the actual plug. Alright, so it's pretty dark now, but I did decide to just go ahead and lay the fiberglass down. This time I only used 2 of the 14.7 ounce Bondo fiberglass resin instead of the 2.5 I used before. I can say that making the mold was a lot easier because of the fabric just draping over the sides of the sunroof that I had was a lot easier to do than folding it up. So hopefully just stays pretty well. But most of this is getting cut off anyway, so I'm just going to leave this out here till tomorrow morning, and then I'll cut it with a fresh razor and pop it apart, and we'll see what we have. Alright, it's the next day. It's been about 15 to 17 hours since it's been out here. There's a couple spots, like right here, it doesn't look like the resin soaked up, but there was plenty of resin, so I'm not sure if maybe it was contaminated or something. Like I said, this is my first time doing some fiberglass work. Around the edges there's a couple spots, like right over here where the fiberglass looks like it started to lean. So hopefully when I go around here and cut it with a grinder all the way around, it'll be low enough to get that off. So right now I'm just going to hurry up and cut it, and then we're going to start the process to separate the 2 pieces. Alright, so I have this thing trimmed down now. There's some spots like this here that have me wondering how well this is going to turn out. It just needs to be trimmed a little bit more. This side right here seems like really spongy, so I'm kind of worried about that, but let's get it separated. Here it is. I mean, it's pretty good, I feel like, for my first try, but you could even see like the molding line in here, which is pretty cool. Should give it like a OEM type look. Let me flip it over. So some of this is a little bit wavy. I feel like once I put this on the car, I'm just going to get a flat piece of metal and line it all the way on here and maybe rivet it through to the factory metal, because if I'm not mistaken, this curved side on the top here is the front and the straighter side's the back. So on the car I have mounting on this side, and this side, and I could probably come up with something for this side. If not, I think it'll be fine just on the 3 sides, but I have to fill this in with some kind of silicone. So right now I'm just going to grab the hose, spray this off, wash off the gel coat from this side like we did on that. Good thing is this mold's still good, so I can use it again in the future. Maybe that might be another giveaway at some point in time. So right now, soap and water for this, and then I'll get back to you in a couple minutes. So I got this thing all washed off. I threw a coat of white spray paint on here. I don't really care what it looks like too much. I mean, there's some imperfections in there, and I could probably sand the edges, like wet sand it and make it look a lot better, but I don't know, it's going to look better than what it did. So it's going to be vinyl wrap black once I get everything sealed up on the roof. So coming over to the car, like I said in the first video, all this is cracking up because the rivets don't allow the vinyl to go all the way down. Plus it's just cracking from over time. This was some cheap eBay vinyl. One thing that I am going to have to worry about is right back here where that squirter was. I'm going to have to figure out a way to fill that. Maybe I'll do some fiberglass or something on that. So basically I'm not even going to touch the vinyl on the roof. I'm just going to come down in the car and I'm going to drill each one of these rivets out, and hopefully I can just push the whole panel out. So I got roughly 23 rivets to drill out. So I have the metal panel out. I did leave the vinyl on the roof. I just cut it back a little bit so when I go to seal it, that way it's still covering the rear squirter hole until I'm ready to fill that. So basically, if you didn't watch my original sunroof delete video, these are the holes I had going across on both sides. Also over here, and then on the back I made some little brackets that kind of bolted here and here to hold the back side of it up. So I just picked up some of these clamps right here. Got the sunroof cap right there. I'm about to test fit it. The weight difference in between that and this probably weighs 3 to 4 pounds. This right here, probably less than 2. So it's super light. I do have some brackets that I have in mind, but right now I'm just going to try to test fit it. Use these clamps to kind of hold it in place and make sure it actually fits in here. So just for shits and giggles, I'll pop the mold in there. This thing fits in there super tight. Like, I was debating on actually using this, but the top's a little wavy. But as you can see, it fits in there really tight. I could still adjust it some, but it sits almost perfect. The only thing that's holding it is a couple of those clips. Alright, so I got the front edge. It's pretty much super tight up against there. Slight gap here, but I expected that because you got to remember the sunroof glass had that flexible kind of seal on it that would squash in. Back, decent sized gap, but I could adjust the back over a little bit and the front up and it should hold. But the gap on this side, and the gap over here is pretty even. The back side does need to come up a little bit. I only have clips holding it here and here and over here, so I did drop it. The clips slipped off and this gel coat cracked right here. I guess I didn't do it that good in the corner. Not a big deal. I'll just fill that with some of the weather sealant once I go around this. So what I think I'm going to do now is come down here and try to drill one of my original holes and just put some bolts to hold this front side in while I adjust the back and the sides to get it up where I want it to be. Alright, so as you can see, the thing is perfectly level all the way around. Don't mind the neighbor's dog, but super level. I'm really happy with the way this is looking, the way I have it mounted. Is I have some bolts going through like that. There's a slight gap in there, not a real big deal. Probably put a nut in between, big washer on this side. I just was trying to put everything together to line up on this side. Only one of the holes looks like it's going to line up. Over here I'm probably just going to sandwich the bolt with washers and the bolt and the nut on those two. Over here I have self-tapping screws going into the back because there's only a little lip right there. Right here I put it in, but it kind of pushed it up so it wasn't even, so I had to take that one out. And then the same with right here, but the filler, the gasket maker that I'm going to put in is going to take care of that. So what I'm pretty much going to do is finish mounting this. Alright, so it's sealed up. It's not that pretty, but once it dries I might sand around it again. I was actually thinking about maybe even just fiberglassing this piece on. I'm much happier with this than the metal panel, which is sitting over there. This thing is super flush with the roof line. I ended up using ultra black gasket maker to seal this up. I went all the way around and I used a squeegee, kind of flatten it all out to make sure it's nice and smooth. It's a little bit rough in some spots. I'm not really worried about, because if you remember earlier in the video, so I'm going to be removing all this once I'm ready to fill up the rear squirter hole. So I'm super happy with the way the plug came out. The RTVs on there kind of sloppy. It's all good though, because I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to sand down because I want it to be super flush. I may even fiberglass that panel to the roof in the future, but we'll see how things go. I'm going to start panel by panel and trying to make the car exactly what I want it to be now. I missed out on a lot of track days this year. I don't know, I had a bunch of stuff going on, but I could have used the mold in that hole and it would have fit super tight, but the top of it was pretty wavy, so I didn't want to do a lot of body work. Pretty happy with this, considering this was my first fiberglass project. Wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, so I'm just going to hang on to the mold. If anybody wants me to make them one, let me know and we can figure out a price. Couldn't find one online except for Frank's Fiberglass, but he never replies to your messages. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down at the bottom and I'll try to help you out to the best of my ability. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Back at you with the realness.